I really need to start talking about Nick Fuentes. So the way I'm setting this up. It's a two-part series, and the title is basically Chasing Nick Fuentes. So part one is about his words, and part two is about his life. And that's right, the two do not seem to quite line up with each other for some reason. Um, I attribute it to his being a young man, but anyway, we'll get into that. Okay, the words. He has been accused of being a racist, an anti Semite, a bigot, a white nationalist, a white supremacist. What am I leaving out? Yeah, well, and then, so for all of this, all right, what seems to have dragged him into the press recently more than anything else has been this argument, especially with Josh Hammer and others, over Israel. Now, the way I like to set this discussion up is that there's Judaism, then there are Jews, Jewish Americans, and then there's Israel. All right. And I kind of break them out from each other. And I don't know if this helps, but Nick Fuentes has been, well, focused maybe a little too much on one part, and he doesn't really look at some other things. I mean, one criticism I'd like to start off with, since I'm bringing up Judaism, is that he seems to think basically that Jews had nothing to do with the founding of America. Well, quote, white Christians, as he likes to put it, may have been the predominant cultural force at the time, but there were some important Jewish merchants who helped fund the effort. So, I mean, that's just what we know about. There are things we probably don't know about that we should know about as well. And that alone should give pause to some of these statements that Nick Fuentes seems to like to make. I'm not quite sure where to start with this. I was looking at this article from Yahoo, was talking about him and saying the 14 horrible things that he said. Yeah, but he said other things too. And it's possible to take some of these things, that's right, out of context. Sorry. So, where do we put it with this? That's the part that I'm trying to sort out because we also hear from him what are insightful comments. But the criticism, I mean, I think now is the time here at 2 minutes and 40 seconds to get to what I see is the nub of the problem here. When you look at all these different things that are associated with them, whether it's white nationalism, white supremacy, racism, Israel, etc., there really isn't. I mean, some might argue that white supremacy is a coherent ideology. I would argue that it's not. So the problem I'm having here is that he keeps throwing up these, what should I say, very emotional terms that get a strong reaction from people. But, Mr. Fuentes, if you are trying to tell us how we should lead our lives and what makes America great, I'm not sure that these particular points you want to make are really where we need to go. That's just my opinion. And part of it has to do that if you're going to have a vision of America, it better have something to do with how you've lived your life and how your life connects to your family, your community, to the nation. And, well, all right, I'm going to say it. I don't want to really say it, but there's a level at which Nick Fuentes just seems to come across as a hot airbag. All right, hitting on certain themes, yes, and they resonate with young men, yes. Okay, but it's the kind of resonance that comes with the confusion. I'm going to say it, the confusion of youth. I'm sorry, young men who are in their 20s, I don't think have a clear worldview. They're still getting themselves sorted out. They're not a part of the larger community yet. The 20s is notorious for being a terrible time for people to try and sort out their lives. There are exceptions, but for the most part, you're looking for a job, you're trying to get yourself established in a career, you're probably still pursuing education, and you're not really, you just feel like you're kind of outside of or at the edge of things and you're not there. Okay. So he at 27, I think, kind of falls into that same category. So if nothing else, okay, he's speaking for the youth of America and the youth who are having a rough time. So, Mr. Fuentes, I'd like to throw in another one here for you. if we look at your own, now I guess I'm sort of sliding into the second part here that I want to touch on, but I'll have to do more of it. He spent what 1 year at Boston University, then he left and he got involved with this group called Unite Right or Unite the Right, and everything just kind of took off from there for him. Okay, and so ever since he's been this very voluble, VOLUBLE, voluble commentator on all things, shall we say, conservative, and he seems to have staked out a position for himself that some would seem to see as more extreme than others. And they might have a point. They might have a point. So, and the other thing is, okay, I'm a little older than him, just saying. You can see. And as I'm listening to him, it's a voice that sounds familiar to me. I'm going to say it. It's the voice I remember in myself when I was younger. Okay, so yeah, be an idealist. You can believe in a better world. You can um, have your own views on what that constitutes. But I can assure you, especially at that age, not all the pieces are in place. You do not have a working prototype for how the world works and what your role is in it. Okay, especially in terms of when he's taking on these large issues. And I'm not sure that he has as deep a grasp as I would like to see of those large issues. That said, I've noticed that he can be insightful at times. Okay, so let's give him credit for that. But the thinking in my mind is that those insights sort of become like anchor points, and you're developing your political philosophy. And right now, he grabs a lot of things that I see as standard, and they are not that well connected to what I see the anchor points, those moments where he shows more insight. Okay, so all of that leads me to suggest that we have to look at Nick Fuentes in very measured terms. All right, as I just said, he's still what you would call something of a purist and an idealist. I mean, his prescriptions for the better life: men in charge, women sit down and shut up, blacks be in their place, etc., is a, let's call it, yeah, retrograde. I'm calling it retrograde. And it doesn't reflect how we would end up living our daily lives and how you deal with the complexities of what's in front of you. And I'm just going to say it. Feminism is under attack in all kinds of weird ways. So his picking on feminism, I'm thinking of that as an easy target. So the I think the takeaway here that I would like to offer you, the audience, is that Nick Fuentes, as others have said, remains a work in progress, and I expect him to mature. I expect him to um, be able to develop more nuanced views, and I think we'll find that he's not quite as um, well. I want to say destructively extremist in some of the comments that he's claimed to have made. So, how does that work out, Mr. Fuentes, when you're talking about how you live your life day to day? So, yeah. So I'm going to leave it at that right now, and then I'm going to move on to part two.